Assalamu alaikum all of you. Today we are starting the lecture series on production analysis subject related concept presented by Madam NUZHAT. So it is boundary of input and output. We called it production function, and when you write a function, basically function is a boundary of the set. Similarly, you can go for more than one variable, and typically draw an isoquant, and all the values including the boundary points are called set. This is the boundary point, and so the best output level and the efficient output level will be on the boundary, efficient level of production. There can be some point feasible and some point not feasible, so it means all the points below this output level are not feasible, and all the points above, excluding this function, this convex line, these are feasible but not efficient. Only the point on the boundary of the set, which is called function of output, is efficient and is also feasible. So the function is the boundary of set, and on this boundary all the combinations are efficient and feasible, but any points on the right hand side, they are feasible point for the production but they are not efficient. On the left hand side, they are not feasible, so technologically they are not feasible. So that means you can have this combination, but this will lead to no output. Any points below this function is considered not feasible because it will not produce the level of output. Most of the time we are dealing with this line, boundary of the set, which is the function of production. So this is why production function is transforming inputs into the output. Now they have to add one more things, is that they should be feasible and efficient. All points are not feasible, all techniques and technologies not feasible. Some of the values of set are feasible and not efficient, or there are some of the boundary points they are feasible as well as efficient, so choice will be this. Contour of utility function. So this is the slice of isoquant. It is called contour line because here you have an input and the third dimensions mirrored output. So that is why, for sake of simplicity in difference curve, contour of utility function is feasible and affordable and efficient. Contour is feasible and efficient, that is the function is contour, that is the part of the third dimensions graph. So even when you in difference curve will be like this, you take only this part. When two goods are here, they are substitutable, but they are not substitutable. Remember, substitutability are something and perfect substitute are other things. So here the two inputs are substitutable, but they are not best substitute. So the isoquant, we can't consider the straight line parallel to the x-axis and y-axis, because the straight line parallel to the axis becomes simplest and naive case, because here there is not substitutability. The factor x1 remain constant and y varies, and y constant. X is a production function, that implies that factors of production used in fixed, technologically predetermined and proportions, as there is no substitutability between factors. Just this point is feasible only at this point. There is no flexibility, substitutability in the production functions of the King curve. Just this point is feasible only at this point, this. So we need a techniques to measure this curve, how much substitutability in the factors of production, and how we can use this substitutables any to produce the same level of output produced. So the shape of IC is very important for us to know, and in the single variable case exchange, so due to inputs change, it changed the level of output. That a simplest and easy case, so that becomes सेकेंड वेरिएबल केस. दूसरी चीज़ जो प्रोडक्शन के लिहाज से वो है कि यू कैन स्केल अप एंड स्केल डाउन द आउटपुट्स. यू हैव टू लर्न दिस थिंग, डिमिनिशिंग रिटर्न टू स्केल, या कॉन्स्टेंट रिटर्न टू स्केल एंड इंक्रीजिंग रिटर्न टू स्केल. सो इट्स scaling up. There will be productions can be half or time period like very short periods, long period, and very long period. Very short period is not interesting because you can't change the level of output remain the same, you can't change the capital and labor, so there is nothing interesting here. That's why you don't see in the textbook. It is generally true for perishable goods within, or you can't change. इन periods में हमारे पास कोई कैलेंडर नहीं है. वही टाइम पीरियड दरअसल किसी इंडस्ट्री के लिए शॉर्ट पीरियड हो सकता है और वही टाइम पीरियड किसी दूसरी इंडस्ट्री के लिए लॉन्ग पीरियड हो सकता है. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपने शुगर मिल लगानी है तो आप 1 ईयर में लगा सकते हैं. तो फिर शुगर मिल का लॉन्ग एग्रीगेट दरअसल बिजली बनाने के लिए डैम बनाना हो तो फिर उसका लॉन्ग पीरियड 20 ईयर्स हो सकता है. It means कि write for graphically so that's become simplest, and it depend on the nature and production process that will be the short period and what will be the long period. Second short period, we defined it at least one variable should remain constant, and most of the time it is capital, but some industries capital varies and labor remain may be constant. It is not necessary or condition that always capital remain the constant. Variable can be constant. Journal idea, at least one factor of production remain constant, and it has, when you assume that it is constant, it has strong implications assumption. Next factor के साथ एक variable factor का जो ideal proportion होता है, और economist जो कहते हैं full information, full knowledge, तो सिर्फ consumer को ही नहीं बल्कि प्रोड्यूसर को भी फुल इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ नॉलेज होती है. तो हम कहते हैं कि प्रोड्यूसर दरअसल स्टार्ट ही प्रोडक्शन वहाँ से करता है. यहाँ जस्ट स्टूडेंट्स को समझाने के लिए हम 3 स्टेजेस बताते हैं: इंक्रीजिंग रिटर्न टू स्केल, डिक्रीजिंग रिटर्न टू स्केल एंड कांस्टेंट रिटर्न टू स्केल. लेकिन एक्चुअली जो पीछे दरअसल अजम्पशन है वो ये है कि ही नो द प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस एंड ही हैज़ द फुल इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ही विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द राइट प्रोपोर्शन. फिक्स्ड वेरिएबल के साथ जो वेरिएबल चेंज हो रहा है उसके साथ इसका प्रोपोर्शन अगर अपसेट हो जाए तो आउटपुट दरअसल मुख्तलिफ तरीके से बिहेव करेगी, और वो 3 तरीके होते हैं. लॉन्ग रन पीरियड, we assumed all factor are variable except technologies. Other than technologies, all factors can change, only the technologies will change in very long run. So distinction between long run and very long run is when the technologies change, it will be very long run period. If you remember, these technologies fixed, and most of the time we talk the technology as a fixed. Reason is that technology, methods of doing the things, technique not change very quickly. They takes too much time. Factors of production should be multiplied by a constant lambda that is constant, and how the output will behave. These are 3 equations, and if the output remains same, even you multiplied the constant lambda with the level of inputs, and actually output remains the same. So this is called the constant return to scale. So scaling up, just graphically it will be easier to understand. Let's say you are scaling up your productions, you used 10 units of capital and 10 units of labor. Other than you scale up 20 unit of labor and 20 unit of capital, and your ISO count is will be like in normally the higher will be the level of output, doubling your inputs, but your output is more than double. And you saw it through reverse logic. If double inputs, so the output will be double, but if you take inputs double, in output will be more than double, and still you have free disposable of some factors of production. इकोनॉमिक्स में प्रोडक्शंस में एक assumption चलती है, वो है constant return to scale. And if you want to achieve some level of output and some of your inputs are extra, so you can freely disposable. It means there will be no cost, and if it does, for example 100 capital, it's a constant return to scale. Similarly you have decreasing return to scale. Now practically if we are given a production functions, how we do it, Cobb-Douglas production functions is given there, and it is a specific production function. Two economics, Cobb and Douglas, thought that how American imports increasing. So They takes the American economy data and base of it mathematically in this form, and why economists use the Cobb-Douglas production function. These production functions meet all the mathematical properties, so that solve and use this production function is comparatively easy other than production function. Typically well behaved as a quant form followed by Cobb-Douglas production function, because Cobb-Douglas mathematicists and economists intuitions satisfy all the conditions, so we said well behaved production function. So here multiplied the inputs. If you have multiplied the inputs and the lambda factors out, so function check out or determine the increasing return to scale, decreasing return to scale, and constant return to scale with alpha and beta addition, and if the answer will greater than 1, so it will be increasing return to scale, and alpha plus beta and the answer will be less than 1, this is called decreasing return to scale, and alpha plus beta is equal to 1, or it is production function executed, so that will be homogeneous of degree z 1, homogeneous of degree 1, and it can our profit maximization. The nature of production function change our cost function, and it changes our profitability, so this is why the production function is very important. अगर आपके पास आउटपुट का डाटा है और लेबर का डाटा है और आपके पास अगर कैपिटल का डाटा है, तो इन तीनों के डाटा की मदद से आप अल्फा एंड बीटास की जो वैल्यूज उनको डिटरमिन कर सकते हैं. आप लॉग फॉर्म में ले जाएं, इसे OLS लगाने से लॉग फॉर्म में अगर लिख लिया जाए, इन्हें लीनियराइज्ड हो जाते हैं और फिर OLS में लगाते हैं. जब अल्फा एंड बीटास की वैल्यू हो जाती हैं तो उसको कैलकुलेट पर हम जमा करके आप बता सकते हैं कि ये प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन क्या शो कर रहा है. तो बहुत सारा काम एक्चुअली प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन के एस्टिमेशंस पर हो जाता है. विच प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन यूज्ड इन. तो हमारे पास इस तमाम डिस्कशंस के अंदर जो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट है वो ये है इस प्रोसेस को जानना कि जो फर्म्स हैं, जो इंडस्ट्रीज़ हैं, जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, वो जब भी कोई प्रोडक्शंस वगैरह करती हैं तो उनके लिए ये प्रोसेस जानना बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि वो ये अगला स्टेप दरअसल उठाएं या ना उठाएं. ये हम मार्जिनल रेगुलेशंस इन्हें कहते हैं कि जो क्लासिकल इकोनॉमिस्ट जहाँ पर राइट कम्बिनेशंस ऑफ इनपुट एंड आउटपुट, सो एंटरप्रेन्योर स्टार्ट देयर बिजनेस एट दिस लेवल. अब वो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ये सोचते हैं कि अगर मैं एक यूनिट और प्रोड्यूस करूँ तो उसका मेरे प्रॉफिट स्ट्रक्चर और कॉस्ट स्ट्रक्चर में क्या फ़र्क पड़ेगा, मेरे रेवेन्यू में क्या फ़र्क पड़ेगा. तो एक्चुअल डिसीजन वो किसी टोटल को अचीव नहीं करना, बल्कि एक्चुअल डिसीजन ये है कि आपने कंपैरिजन करना है पास्ट को फ्यूचर के साथ, कि वो चेंज जो आ रही है वो आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव को मीट करती है कि नहीं करती. और ऑब्जेक्टिव हमने पहले से तय किए होते हैं कि फर्म. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग दिस वीडियो. थैंक यू. अल्लाह हाफिज़.